I
Well, hello there, good people. So Mary's going back on the road. She's headed out west to deliver some tractor parts to some farmers out that a ways. And if you watch that Restocking America video, then you may recall that moment we were discussing the potato farming operations out in New Mexico. And I imagine some of those parts are going to head out in that direction. They may be used for farming potatoes. That got me to thinking. I've got some potatoes around the house that I've got to do something with. Alright, so before we get started on this video proper, there's a couple things I need to talk about. First off, this is the inaugural video in a series I'm launching called Can I Plant That? And basically this series of videos is all about finding those items that are available to you in the grocery store, or maybe you can order them online, that you can get that are ordinarily prepared and packaged to be sold as food themselves, but can also perhaps be planted in our gardens and grown for our own personal use. Things like, well, these potatoes. Things like these potatoes. Now, the last time I went to the grocery store, they had a restriction on the number of bags of potatoes that could be purchased. You can only buy 2 bags of potatoes per customer per trip. That's not a lot of potatoes. And if you're like me and you don't necessarily eat a lot of potatoes all at once, sometimes those potatoes can sit around in a bag for a while until they get a little soft and squishy. The eyes start to form on them, and you might begin to wonder whether or not you should throw them away. Or you could always ask yourself, can I plant that? And in the case of potatoes that you buy from the store, fortunately the answer is yes, you can. Now there are two different types of potatoes that I want to talk about. Those are determinate potatoes and indeterminate potatoes. The determinate potato is a potato that's going to grow the plant, produce a bunch of potatoes, and then stop growing. That's your harvest. That's all you get. An indeterminate potato will grow, produce some potatoes, keep growing, and if mulch or other material is heaped up on top, will produce more potatoes, grow more mulch, more potatoes. Grow more mulch, more potatoes. It takes a little bit longer, but you get more potatoes in the end. So what's a determinate potato? What's an indeterminate potato? Well, those red potatoes that I just showed you are Norland red potatoes. Those are a determinate potato. They'll grow, produce a crop, and be done. The common potato that most people know about is the brown-skinned russet potato. Now that one is an indeterminate potato. As long as you keep on heaping the mulch up around the plant as it grows, it will continue to form more tubers beneath the mulch or the soil if you're heaping up soil. A couple things to keep in mind. Potatoes are a cold weather crop. I guess in a way it's fortunate that we're entering into a solar minimum cycle where temperatures are expected to be cooler in some places. Unfortunately, not everywhere. Here, it's probably going to be mild-ish, but the rule of thumb is if your temperature is below 90 degrees, your potatoes will continue to produce. So if you're expecting your temperatures to get higher, you may want to consider positioning your potatoes in a place like a shaded spot where the temperature at the soil level can be a little bit lower. That may help your potato crop succeed. Alright, the amount of time that it's going to take. Most of the indeterminate potatoes are going to take about 4 months, 120 days from the time that they produce foliage to the time that they're done producing potatoes. Determinate potatoes, like the red ones that I showed you, will take about 3 months or 90 days from the time foliage emerges till the time that they're done producing their potatoes. So, plan accordingly. If you're going to have a hot summer and you know you're going to have a hot summer, you might want to consider planting the determinate potatoes instead of the indeterminates. Your crop yield will be lower, but you'll get something, whereas with the indeterminates you might wind up losing your entire crop due to the high heat. Okay, let's have a look at an example of each. This potato here is a russet potato. It's squishy, it's old, soft, big sprouts starting to burst through the top of that. You're not going to want to eat this for food, but you can plant this, and I'm going to today. This one is one of those Norland red potatoes. This one is a determinate potato, 90 days from foliage to production. It's got some little eyes popping up here. It's about ready to plant also. It's a big potato, by the way, but I'm going to plant the whole thing. I'm also going to drop a potato and hope that I didn't break the eyes off, because that would be unfortunate. Now, right now, it's very chilly. It's just been raining earlier today. I'm waiting for a break of the rain to get out into the front yard where I'm going to plant these potatoes. I know I'm going to look like a lunatic to the neighbors, but I'll be the one laughing in 3 months' time when I'm enjoying the harvest and they're wondering when they'll see food again. Okay, that's rubbing it in. Guys, get some food in the ground. This entire thing could blow over tomorrow, or it might last a long time. So, plant what you got. Oh, still good. Okay, so I'm out here in the front yard. I've already planted 6 of these Norland red potatoes out here. Just a couple of quick tips for planting the potatoes. Put 3 feet in between each plant. Make sure they're going to get at least some sunlight. If you're going to be in a hot part of the country where it's going to get hot later on in the growing season, you might want to consider giving them some shade, because it's important that you keep your temperature at the soil level down to about 90 degrees or so. Keep in mind, these are a determinate potato, so they're not going to produce a huge crop, but they will give you something. And if you're down to that last few potatoes in the bag and you're looking at them and wondering, should I try planting it? Well, yeah, may as well. It's not going to hurt anything. What's the worst going to happen? You don't get a potato? Well, you weren't going to get a potato if you didn't plant it anyway, so you may as well plant it. I just put a little bit of dirt down there to give it something to get started in. The roots of the potato are going to go on down into the soil. And we're just going to put the mulch back over the top of it, just like so. You guys remember watching my video on building a deep mulch bed, and I talked about starchy vegetables, starchy plants, lots of root starch pushing up through the mulch. Well, here you go. Potatoes, starchy vegetable. It's going to push right through that. Okay, so same situation, only this time we're going to be using our russet potato right there, measuring off 3 feet away from the last plant that we planted. It's going to be right about here. Waterproof gloves come in handy. Great for digging through wet mulch. Yeah, potatoes have lots of starch in them. Starch means lots of calories. If you're in desperate situations and you're on a high protein diet, low carb diet, well, You may have to make a choice one of these days between breaking your diet and having enough to eat, or sticking to your diet and losing more weight than you anticipated. Alright, very easy. Eyes up into the soil. Just going to cover it with a little bit more dirt, like so. There we go. Mulch back around the plant. That big starchy root is going to provide all the energy this potato needs to push up through the ground and get started growing. Now, this is an indeterminate potato, and that means that after it gets started growing, I need to come back with more mulch and keep the mulch gathered around the top of that plant, leaving a few inches sticking out at any given time. It's going to keep on growing and keep on making more and more potatoes under that foliage as long as the temperature remains low enough. Well, alright, good people. I just got finished planting a couple more potatoes out there in the front yard, so I guess in addition to the question of can I grow that, we should ask, can I grow there? And the answer is yes. Grow food wherever you can, and really you shouldn't need some sort of an emergency to make that the case. You should be growing food all the time, everywhere you can, every square foot available, because you never know when something's going to happen, and homegrown food is better anyway. Better for you, better for your pocket, better for the environment. It's better all around. In any case, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you liked the video, so please hit the like button, subscribe, comments down below, bang the notification bell, and I will catch you next time.